Even at lower rates, the debt remains enormous. So this is where Doge comes in, cutting around $1 to $4 billion a day at spending. So trying to shave off kind of that $1 trillion in spending over the next couple of months. So that's kind of this. This is a good recap of kind of everything that's happening right now and how everything's going. With those savings, we've got Secretary Bezin's 333 plan, right, to get growth kind of restarted here. Tariffs come in as a trigger for domestic industrial revival. The thinking is by making imports expensive, you create U.S. producers' demand, right? Room for these guys to step in. But the problem is if factories can't scale quick enough, which they can't, of course, this can't be an immediate process, then short-term slowdowns, consumers will face higher prices. The administration knows this. That's why they're front-loading the pain now, betting that 2026 will benefit. The benefits will be visible. In the meantime, they're offering some near-term relief. Tax cuts have already been floated to help offset the cost and burdens on households. And while risky, currency devaluation may follow later to make imports cheaper without lifting tariffs. So hoping that there's going to be a tax rebalancing to kind of offset some increase in prices due to tariffs. Now, here's the interesting point here. Tariffs also bring revenue, and I think this is supposed to be $700 billion, not $700 million. Estimates suggest around $700 billion in the first year. Not a game changer on its own, but it gives the Treasury a bit more room to maneuver, especially if paired with deficit cuts. So there's our $700 billion number. Still, the approach isn't without risks, and this is certainly a risky situation, right? This whole thing could backfire, could go terribly bad, but there are some interesting points to at least consider. If domestic supply chains can't catch up, or if global retaliation kicks in, inflation could rise. If inflation rises too much, the Fed is forced to raise interest rates. That is like the worst case scenario, and it's also very possible. A common critique is why impose tariffs without building out the capacity to replace imports first, right? But this assumes tariffs are the end goal, and they're not, according to the author here. They're the starting gun, a way to force both inside the U.S. and around the world, to force movement, to force discussions, to force all of this. Now, Trump has been a little bit all over the place saying tariffs are here to stay. We're able to negotiate about them, and so on. So it's been a little bit unclear there.